Last time we got together, you guys were instructed to read a fantastic story by Guy de Maupassant titled The Necklace. And I wanted feedback. How was it? And what do you think about the ending? I'm sorry? Okay. How did it make you feel, anyone? Okay. Did anyone feel like cold at the end? Did she deserve that? No. I mean, this is a perfect example of a material person. I'm sorry, Mateo Louisel, as bad as we feel for her, I don't know you, I felt horrible for her. She got what she deserved. I don't think that what happened to her was, she's a person that had advantages other people did not have. She had a loving husband, so loving that money that he was saving, and it was a sacrifice for him to save that money. For himself, he gave it all to her to make her happy. He was saving the money for a trip, a hunting trip with his friends. And when he saw her so distressed, he said that the hell with it, here's the money. And she was never happy. It was like it was never enough. It was never enough because she thought she deserved more. And she had this big hole in her heart where she was never satisfied with anything. Even being poor. She had a girl that did work in the house for her. So what was she doing the rest of the time? Watching telenovelas. Well, they didn't have TVs back then, but I'm sure that if the story were contemporary, she would be sitting down watching telenovelas instead of working in the house. But what she seemed to do a lot was fantasize all day long about living the life of the rich and famous. And I think that what happened to her, the way I interpret it, was the result of her materialism. She wanted to be rich. She was not happy. She did not have contentment. Contentment means when you're happy with what you have, you do not let or allow having or not having something that dictate your happiness for you. And we should learn to be happy with what we have. That does not mean that we should not aspire to better things. But when you're not happy with what you have and you're always like looking at what you don't have instead of looking at what you have, that's not a good thing. And look at how she ended. It's a story of self destruction, all for what? For one night to be admired and being desired for one night. So materialism has a very heavy price. And again, I'm not saying that. Well, good. I'm glad this happened to you. I feel horrible. I mean, who would not be horrified with what happened to her? But I don't know if you would agree with me or not. But she caused her own undoing. Not only her own undoing, she dragged her husband with her because he was the provider more than she was. He ended up paying also. So it's a very cruel story. It's very cruel, but stuff like that happens every day. Maybe without the twist right at the end. Right, the twist I think is masterful. And as I told you, I was reading a little bit more about Guy de Maupassant and getting more information on him. And I read another story. I was so fascinated with this guy that during the holidays, I read a story titled "The Hand." It's about a hand, and the hand is alive. If you have a chance to check it out, it's kind of creepy, kind of creepy. Okay, so guys, today we have wonderful Christmas story titled "The Gift of the Magi." My question to you is, what's a Magi? Well, I understand why you might think that because it can be translated into the word magician, but that would not be correct. Um, you all know the Christmas story, the traditional Christmas story, right? About Jesus being born in a manger, because there was no other place for Mary and Joseph to spend the night, and she was pregnant, and she gave birth to the Lord Jesus in a manger. A manger is basically a barn with animals. And the Christmas story talks about three wise men. And we have the typical what we call the nativity scene that many people put in under the tree, or that they put out in the yard, where you have like this bohío. It's not really a manger, it's like a bohío. And you have some type of makeshift container where there's a baby that's supposed to be Jesus, and you have Mary and Joseph, and you have some shepherds, and you might have a cow or a lamb laying next to it. Yeah, very beautiful, very artistically. And then you have three wise men bringing gifts. Well, that never happened. The funny thing is that never happened. It's a beautiful scene and all that, but historically it is inaccurate. Uh, if you read the Bible does not say that's the way it happened. Jesus did indeed was indeed born in a manger to Mary and Joseph, and shepherds did go and visit to pay homage and give their respects. But the wise men did not find Jesus until he was 2 years old, so he was a toddler. And yeah, so that beautiful scene where you see the like everyone gathering together and worshiping, that's not how it really happened. But it's a nice scene, it's a nice story. Well, when we talk about uh, we use the word magician, uh, comes from the word magi, and it refers to a wise person, to a scientist. Remember that in ancient times, there was like no difference between like magic and science. You understand what I'm saying? So the Magi's were apparently astronomers, very wealthy astronomers. Maybe they were kings or some type of royalty from the east. And according to the Christmas story and also to the Bible, they brought gifts to the Lord. So what people usually don't know is what happened to them after they brought their gifts, but that's a different story, right? Uh, so what we can say about the gifts of the Magi is that they reflected a lot of wisdom. Does anybody know what were the three gifts that were offered to Jesus by the Magi? Okay. Okay, that would be in English, it would be gold, incense, and myrrh. Does anybody know what gold is? What is gold? I could not even call that a softball question, right? What's gold? Probably the most precious metal, right? It's the most precious, most desired, most valuable metal uh, that we have. The treasury of many countries are filled with gold, and that's what gives value to their monetary systems. What is incense? It's aromatic wood it has a very pungent smell, very strong, and it is used in several religions and worship services. And the Jews, Jesus was a Jew. The Jews would as a part of their worship, a perfume. And what is myrrh? Anybody knows what myrrh is? Okay, myrrh is not that different from incense. It's another aromatic spice that was used in embalming. You know what embalming is, right? It is the process of preparing a person for burial. And they prepare you for burial when you're dead. And in the Middle East and the region of Palestine during Jesus' times, myrrh was used to prepare bodies for burial. Before they buried you, they would like put oils and myrrh and wrap you like a mummy with that, so you would stink less when you were decomposing in the tomb. So those were the three gifts that were given to the Lord, and they represent a lot of wisdom because they represent different aspects of who Jesus was. Uh, Gold represents royalty, like a king. Jesus is King of Kings. Uh, the incense that was used in worship services by a priest also shows another of Jesus's stations. He is a priest of priests, and the myrrh that was used to embalm bodies talks about death, about his death and resurrection, right? So they were like very prophetic gifts that showed a lot of insight. I mean, how did these guys know to give these gifts? Sometimes we scratch our heads. I don't know you if you give gifts, but I give gifts every year. And each year that passes is like harder and harder. What do I give this person? You know, what do they need? What will be a good gift for this person? And the Magi's, they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it with those three gifts. So, story you're reading today, as I said, it's a Christmas story, but it does not take place in the times of Jesus 2,000 years ago. Actually, it takes place roughly a little over 100 years ago. Before we begin talking about this, and I know I've spoken already a little bit about uh, the title of the story. There's a question I would like for you to consider. What kind of sacrifices would you be willing to make for a person you care about? You know what sacrifices? You know that sacrifices always, by definition, hurt, right? If it doesn't hurt, it's not a sacrifice. You call it whatever you want. So, Mr. Alfaro, what will you do? What will you sacrifice? What will you be willing to sacrifice for someone you love? And someone you love could be your mom, your dad, your bro, your sister, a friend, your neighbor, your girlfriend, your whatever, your dog. You would what? But give us an example. What would that look like? You would do that. Wow. Miss Almeida, what about you? Guys, please use the microphone so we will not waste time. You don't know. So you have you ever sacrificed yourself for someone? Food for thought, huh? Food for thought. Maria, for who? Sometimes you don't have to die uh, to make a sacrifice. They're living sacrifices. Like when you have that last mouthful of this delicious thing you want, and your dog is looking at you, hungry, and you decide to like to give it to your pet, right? You know what the heck? I'll give it to you. I want it, but I'll give it to you. Okay. Um, Miss Arroyo, what about you? You don't know. Well, you got a lot of thinking to do, right? Because that's part of living, and maybe you guys don't see it now because you are the object of people that make sacrifices. But then the focus of the universe is going to be off you because life is not about you. Life is about others. But that's something that most of you still have to learn, right? That you're not the center of the universe. That uh, there are people that are equally or more important than us, right? Miss Chaparro, what about you? Your life, okay. Miss Chaparro, Daina. I know. Yeah. No, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I interrupted you. Continue, please. I'm sorry. But it's not. But it's not. I know. I respect that. It's not a far fetched question, madam. Because most of the time, what we're thinking is in having good times. But as I said, sacrifices are a common part of life, and all you have to do is look at your parents. Just look at them, or look at your family. You don't have to go far away. You don't have to read stories or anything like that. They're right in front of you. People that make sacrifices every day. Maybe your father wakes up early every morning before the sun goes up, even when he doesn't feel like it, but he has to support you. And he has to make sure that you have food in your tummy and a roof over your head and clothes on your back, right? So sacrifices look like that also, okay? Not just someone like nailed on a cross or someone standing in front of a gun. There are many, many forms of sacrifices. Mr. Tyler, what about you? What would that look like? Okay, Andres, what about you? Okay, thank you. Mr. Enriquez, what about you? Mr. Enriquez, are you there? No. Ms. Hernandez, what about you? Well, again, as I said, right, food for thought, right? Be something we need to think about. Mikael, what about you? Okay. All right. You will be sacrificing your food or yourself. Well, but you give him but the one eating the food is you. So the food not being sacrificed. You're sacrificing, right? You're making the sacrifice because you're taking that food that's going to your mouth and putting it in somebody else's mouth, right? Okay. What about coral? Okay. What I'm not hearing from you guys is what would that look like? A sacrifice? What would it look like? But um, sacrifices are expected. And let me tell you something, there is no love without sacrifice. You guys talk about and have probably ideas of what love is supposed to be, romantic love. And love has different manifestations. Love is not only romantic, right? But that's what Hollywood tells you. But love involves sacrificing. And you're going to see that in this story in a very beautiful way. Let's move on because we're getting out of time. Story was written by O. Henry. He writes stories with surprises, with a lot of irony. Remember that irony is one of the things that we are exploring in this collection. And the story that you're going to be reading is the story of Jim and Della. They are a young, poor couple that live in New York at the turn of the century, of the 20th century, the early 1900s. And it's Christmas time. And they love each other so much that they want to give each other gifts for Christmas. But money is an issue. So what are you going to do? Sit down and mope about it or sacrifice? And I don't know you, but when you get a gift, what's more important? The gift or the love that is supposed to come behind that gift? Because some, because we put a lot of value in material things. And we look at the gift, the gift, the gift, the gift. Well, I didn't want that. I mean, you've seen those videos on YouTube with these entitled 16-year-old girls. Have you seen those? They just horrify me. I find them horrifying that, oh, daughter, you don't deserve it. We're giving you a 40 or $50,000 car here. Oh, I hate it. I hate you. I wanted the car to be pink. What? You seen that? I mean, don't you like feel like horrified and completely disgusted when you see something like that? Like, see all the love that is being showered, but it's supposed that what they call love made up that little monster that you call a daughter. Well, just incredible. But sometimes you have, all the time, not sometimes, I'm sorry. All the time, you have to look at what's behind the gift. And that's what gives the gift its value. It's not that it costs $1,000 because love is more than $1,000. The love behind a gift. So I want you to be mindful of irony. We have discussed irony before. Remember the difference between verbal, dramatic, and situational irony. You're going to have to identify the type of irony that you're seeing in this story because it is ironic, the same way that the necklace was ironic. And you're going to be seeing situational irony in this one. There's some vocabulary word that I would like for you to write one sentence with each one to demonstrate comprehension. They include the word agile, prudence, scrutiny, coveted, and ardent. And as you know, vocabulary words can appear in a test very easily. The gift of the Magi you will find on page 361 to page 369. And when you get to the last page, I want you to complete the assessment exercises in the reading focus and literary focus only. So the work that you have to do for today includes the reading focus, the literary focus, and the sentences with the vocabulary words, and that will be it. You will upload that to the LMS, guys. Don't mess with the LMS, please. We are running out of time. You know that you have a daily grade, and it comes from that. It comes from there, from the work that you upload to the LMS. Guys, any question before we leave? Okay, then I hope you enjoy the story. This is one. This is another one of those banned stories that we have liberated. It's very filmable. It's a wonderful Christmas story, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. You're gonna get very fuzzy, warm feelings from this one. Okay, we've been reading a lot of horrific stuff. It's time we get a little bit of sunshine, right? We need a little bit of sunshine. So, guys, I'm gonna let you go. I'll be seeing you in a couple of days. You all take care, Mr. Cruz. You have a question? Okay, don't worry. You are absolved, my son. You are absolved. Relax. Anything anybody else want to tell me? Okay, then don't forget about the test review. Okay, you know where to find it. So, guys, have a great day. Okay, God bless.